welcome back to the Andrew and Ian Show. I'm Andrew Serwick here again with Ian. Hi. Today, MLB deadline day. We're going to talk all about it. Ian, also, tomorrow is the last day of the last month without any football, so we got football coming up soon. Training camp has started. Nothing, major to talk about there, but, we're so close to football season, man. But we're gonna talk baseball today. But how you doing this evening, man?
It's been an interesting day. Let's put it that way. Watching the trade deadline's been the epitome of mid. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that's a bit of a freaking understatement right there, man. Underwhelming day if you're a Tigers fan, but overall just a very crazy day. And we're going to get into it. Obviously, you highlighted a lot of the bigger trades. We're not going to go over every single trade that happened over even the last week, just because there's a lot that happened. We're just going to go over the big stuff, mostly just what happened today. But anything major, we're going to talk about it. So, Ian, let's get into it, man. Where do you want to start here?
All right, so I'm going to start obviously with the hometown team, with the Detroit Tigers, and some of the disappointment that they had. And we're going to kick it right off with, you guessed it, Jack Flaherty.
Oh, boy. Yeah, this one was rough.
So in that return, they got the number 8 prospect, who's a catcher, and the number 22 prospect, who's a shortstop, for Jack Flaherty.
And that's number 8 and 22 in the Dodgers system. They're not even
Not in the overall. That's in the Dodgers specific.
and neither of them are even in the top 100 prospect pool in the entire MLB, which is a tragedy that the Tigers couldn't even get a single top 100 prospect for him, despite being probably the best pitcher on the market.
Yeah, outside of Tarek Skubal, he was 110% the best pitcher on the market, and you didn't get a single top 100 prospect. That's really disappointing. But on the flip side, as we were talking earlier, the Andrew Chafin trade is looking to be somewhat of a bright side here. Because obviously, like we said, the Rangers get the left-handed reliever Andrew Chafin, and the Tigers, they get a right-handed reliever and a starter. And looking at these stats, I like them. Now, the prospects rankings, the starter that they got, Joseph Montalvo, he's the Rangers' number 27 prospect. Chase Lee isn't ranked in their system. I like their stats, though. So I think that's a moment where they can play ball and they're not getting the credit that they're due. Because their stats are looking pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, statistically, they look really, really good. Who was it? The starter Montavlo. He, I mean, he's putting up some solid numbers. I don't know if he's in Double A or Triple A. I know he's not in Single A, not at his age.
He's a high A affiliate.
Yeah, so yeah, that's either double or triple. So, um, yeah, I mean, I like what I'm seeing from him statistically. It's not a bad deal. Um, but the thing is that the bust rate in the MLB is so high with prospects. I mean, it's like a 69.2% bust rate um, for all prospects. So with everything the Tigers brought in, if they can just get one of these guys to be good, it's a solid day there. But back to the Jack Flaherty stuff, man. It's insane to me because the fucking Blue Jays got a number 2 and a number 3 for fucking Kikuchi in a trade, and Flaherty's way better than that, and they couldn't get anything close to that from the Dodgers.
Yeah, I'm glad you said the Kikuchi trade, because that was like the number one outside of the Tigers trades that I was looking at, because of it's another starting pitcher being traded, and you just saw the difference in how one team got from, a team like the Astros who has a farm system that they can work with, and they did. So you sit there and it's like, what is Scott Harris really doing here? And I was looking at the teams that were interested. It was the Yankees, the Dodgers, and the Red Sox that were interested in Flaherty. I feel like if you went with the Yankees, they probably could have gotten a little more. Definitely getting a top 100 prospect or two from the Yankees farm system.
Right, and that's like, even from the Red Sox, you could have gotten a better haul than this from the Dodgers. I mean, the Tigers got fleeced. They really got fleeced here, and what they got for Flaherty, it's like you look at it. I think it was the catcher. I forget which one it was, but he's like 25 years old. He's hitting 260 and he has 5 home runs in AAA. And it's like he's 25 years old and that's what he's pulling in AAA. He's pretty much hit his peak, so it's like that's already a bust for the Tigers. So what are we doing here? What is the plan? And why is this man still running this team after today? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, like I'm less excited about the Flaherty trade because they got two bats that they would have to develop. And right now, especially with Spencer Torkelson being the glaring failure that he is right now, their track record with developing is not that good. And I would much rather be more comfortable watching them develop these pitchers because they've produced the likes of Tarek Skubal, Reese Olson, Matt Manning, Casey Mize, and all of these good pitchers.
And they rebuilt Eduardo Rodriguez last year, and they rebuilt Jack Flaherty this year.
Right,
They are
they
great.
know how to develop pitchers and
Right.
resurrect pitchers.
Exactly.
So it's like, what do you need to do here to get a good hitting development staff here?
Spend more money. Oh wait, Chris Ilitch is a cheap ass that won't fucking do that. Um, I don't. This organization is a joke to me, man. It really is. And Chris Ilitch, he should be ashamed of himself because his father would not allow the team to be in this sort of situation at all.
Yeah, I would agree. His dad would definitely spend more money to put the team in a position to actually succeed rather than try and play money ball and go, oh, we have the talent, but we're not going to do anything to develop them, and we're not going to support them in any way, shape, or form.
Right, and it is what it is. And the Tigers also traded Mark Canha for a right-handed pitcher to the Giants. Nothing big there, but let's go over some of the other big trades around the league because I know there was a lot more exciting stuff if you're not a Tigers fan. Um, so let's try to get into some of that.
Yeah, so in division, so staying with the AL Central, Cleveland picked up Alex Cobb from the Giants in exchange for Jacob Bresnahan and another player to be named. So obviously, Cleveland, seeing them recently and like however many games that the Tigers have played them, before the break and after the break, they're kind of in need of some starting pitching right now. They started off really good, but they've been kind of in a slump. So maybe this is going to be that bolster to that rotation and keep them afloat and keep that division. Because right now the Minnesota's going crazy. Kansas City's kind of stumbled a little bit, but like Cleveland, it's kind of treading water, and this might help them. So it's just interesting to watch how the other teams in the division are playing out.
Yeah, I think Cleveland did a good job here. They desperately like most teams that are competing at the top of their respective leagues and divisions. They're in desperate need of starting pitching. Alex Cobb, he's not the best out there that was available for sure, but you know he's gonna help this Cleveland rotation out a ton. I still don't think it's enough for Cleveland to get over the hump, but they're at least trying. And that's what I want as a Tigers fan is this team to just try. But no, I think it's a good deal for both sides, really. I mean, Alex Cobb isn't going to get you much anyways, but for Cleveland's end, this helps their rotation that they desperately needed help in, and good day for them.
Yeah, and then going back to the Dodgers, they got the center fielder Kevin Kiermaier from the Blue Jays for left-handed reliever Ryan Yarbrough. And I think, honestly, the Dodgers are. This is going to be another one that works out in their favor. They got rid of one of their pitchers that hasn't really been working out for them recently. And Kevin Kiermaier defensively is one of the best center fielders in the game. And, granted, he's getting up there in age, so he's fallen off a little bit offensively, but, his defense is, I'd take him in a heartbeat. So it's a real good value there for them.
Yeah, that was a very good trade for them. Um, they have a they have a really good amount of relievers, not just currently on their team, just in their farm system in general. And so, yeah, why not? It's a good deal for them. As much as I hate the Dodgers, their owner at least fucking spends money and does things correctly, unlike our clown car organization.
Right, and then the Orioles made a couple moves that I was looking at. So the first one, they picked up a former Tigers reliever in Gregory Soto from the Phillies in exchange for a righty or two right-handed pitchers, Seth Johnson and Moises Chase. So again, they're getting bullpen help. Or English. Baltimore, obviously in the playoff race. I think they're still leading that division. I think they took that division lead from the Yankees last I checked.
Yeah, I believe last I looked, they were a half a game ahead.
Yeah, it's a half game. So obviously this is and watching what the Yankees were doing, they were trying to get bullpen help as well. So I think they're just trying to keep pace with the Yankees here. Get that bullpen help. Someone who may not be the greatest. Obviously, watching him play for Detroit, he was wild at times and walking people like crazy. But he has experience, and you can't teach experience. You can only just let it happen and give it the chance.
Yeah, exactly. And Soto's not terrible, but I mean he upgrades it. He upgrades that bullpen. Just it's not a drastic upgrade that you would want. But again, does Baltimore really need that major upgrade in the bullpen?
Right, and then it's kind of the same thing with the second move that they did that I was kind of drawn to was they acquired the outfielder Eloy Jimenez from the White Sox for left-handed pitcher Trey McGow. So I didn't realize that they did trade Austin Hayes in this season or at some point. So that's plugging that hole that they gave themselves. So that's something. I mean, Jimenez is hitting 240 with 5 home runs and 16 RBIs this season, but that's with the White Sox.
Right.
You put him on the Orioles, he's gonna have more chances because I guarantee you the Orioles put more people on base than the White
Oh,
Sox do.
absolutely. And he can be an RBI machine for the Orioles too, which is I mean, the Orioles had a great, trade deadline week leading up to trade deadline because they got a starting pitcher, which we got to go over that too. I believe that deal revolved with Connor Norby as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that because that was another one that I was looking at. That was earlier in the day that I had, or earlier in the week that we highlighted.
Yeah, that was definitely
Oh,
earlier
that
in the
was
week.
today. They got Trevor Rogers from the Marlins,
God,
Connor
yep,
Norby, and Kyle Stowers.
yep,
That was another outfielder that they traded away.
yep.
They replaced with Eloy Jimenez. So again, they're playing checkers out here. They're trading players and they're replacing them right there.
And they're playing like Chinese checkers, not just checkers here. I mean, they've been doing a really good job today. Well, really leading up to the deadline. Baltimore's looking really solid right now, and they don't really care to I mean, obviously they're spending the money, but they don't care that they're getting rid of all these good prospects that they have. Because I mean, boy, they have a lot of prospects in the top 100. They're trying to win now, and it's worth it. Unlike the Tigers, who don't do anything. One team that surprised me today, but actually they're doing things correctly. And I want to get to them here. The Marlins. 9 months ago they were playing, you know, playoff baseball, and they just traded away a whole bunch of shit, loaded up on prospects, and they did a great job today, loading up on great prospects to eventually try and get themselves back. They have a vision. They're trying to get a short rebuild here, and they did a great job today doing just that, selling what they have to get an enormous amount of prospects today, and they were open for business all day, man, all day today.
Yeah, seeing Jazz Chisholm specifically, that was one where I was like, oh, they actually traded him because I thought he was going to retire potentially as a Marlin, but now he's going to the Yankees and he's going to have the time of his life out there. That's gonna be it's gonna be really good for him. But again, getting that return and you're trading with a team like the Yankees, who obviously one of the biggest market teams, not just in the U.S. and the world, because people know the Yankees worldwide. You're gonna have that different money and that different market, so people are just gonna know your name now. And in return, those players that you got, you already know that they had access to these different things and these different caliber of things just because simply they're the Yankees organization and they're drawing in more money and then that's just how the shit works. So, and now they're going to the Marlins and every single trade that they're doing, it's either it's players or cash consideration. So it's either they're dumping good or iffy contracts that they had and they're getting money back or they're getting prospects back. And it's only recouping your losses and like you said, short rebuild and you just wonder why can't anything like that happen in Detroit?
Right, and the thing is, the Marlins got a ton of top 100 prospects today. I think it was like 5 or 6 of them, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there. And the thing is, you only need like 3 or 4 of these guys to hit on top of all the prospects that they got outside of the top 100. If you get 3 or 4 of of these prospects that you picked up today to hit and be great players in the MLB, they're gonna be a good team in a few years because again it's a 69.2% bust rate for every prospect that gets drafted by an MLB team. It's the highest bust rate out of any professional sport, and for good reason. I mean, there's tons of data to back it up why it's this high, and again, baseball's one of the hardest sports to play. Period. Just I mean, hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in sports, and then also pitching these days it's very hard to be a great pitcher in the MLB now because it's all about velo and spin rate and all this other analytical bullshit. That's quite frankly ruined the sport in my opinion a little bit. But um, the Marlins did a great job today. Absolutely great job today. They have a vision for the future, and again, you only need every 3 out of 9 guys that you get out of a prospect pool to hit, you'll be fine. And the Marlins did a great job today, and I got nothing but positive things to say about the Marlins today.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, the only negative thing I can say is just about the team that I cheer for is why can't you do that? It just sucks seeing another team, and then even like the Orioles, a team that was succeeding at the same time like the Tigers. Back when the Tigers went to the World Series in like 2012, and then they hit the shitter in 2016. They've already come back and they're a playoff competitive team. Why aren't the Tigers? They've had the same timeline. The Tigers arguably had one of the same, obviously not better than the Orioles, but they had a comparable farm system back when Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson, and Kerry Carpenter were all down there. So they had a comparable farm system. It just hasn't panned out. So that just adds even more to your point of sometimes these prospects just don't work out.
Yeah, and maybe some of these guys that the Tigers acquired today, maybe they'll hit, but it's like none of it gives me any major hope of this team turning around anytime soon. And it's just like Chris Ilitch refuses to spend money, and I mean that was plain and obvious when we entered this season with a far less payroll with getting Miguel Cabrera off the books, and we spent no money at all this offseason. And it's like, what are we doing here? And then Scott Harris can't make a trade to save his life because again you got dicked by LA for Jack Flaherty. You got fuck all in prospects for one of the best pitchers, not only just in the AL but in the entire MLB this year. And yeah, he might have the injury history, but the Tigers rebuilt him, and yes, it's a rental, but at the same time, Scott Harris, you could have done a lot better because again, look at what Toronto was able to get with Kikuchi. I rest my case.
Yeah, they got an extra prospect and higher rated prospects at that.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. you know. But yeah, we other trades that we just want to brush over real quick because no, there was we've pretty much touched all the major stuff. Justin Turner to the Mariners for what was it, prospects or picks? I can't remember now.
I was for an outfield prospect.
Okay, so yeah, just one prospect. It is what it is. Um, but
Yeah, I think
yeah,
the Mariners had a pretty iffy deadline, even with acquiring Randy Arozarena. Because I thought it was funny because their team average right now is like 213 or something like that. Rosarena's hitting 211. They just added someone who's
shit.
hitting worse than their team average. It's going to help, and I was just like,
Well,
yikes. And the Rays got they got two named prospects and a player to be named later.
yeah, that's wild. That's I guess
That's
I guess the Tigers didn't do that bad comparatively. I mean, um,
could be worse.
it definitely could be a lot worse. Um, but yeah, I think that's gonna wrap us up for today. Um, Obviously, not a whole lot going on in sports besides this. I mean, we got football training camp, but there's been nothing really to go over with that. There was a fight at the Lions practice, I guess, last week on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. But it happens. It's football, right? Um, but
Say that makes like what, the
yeah,
fourth or fifth squad that's had a fight at training camp. It
yeah,
happens.
yeah. It happens. It's a whole bunch of grown ass men, getting physical with each other every single day. It's gonna fucking happen, right? Um, but yeah, no. Tomorrow, like I said, is the last. Tomorrow is the last day of the last month without football. Um, college season's coming up soon. I know that. I know camp for that starts in 2 weeks from now. Um, and then yeah, the NFL camp's already started, and we'll definitely be getting in back into going Tuesdays and Thursdays once the season, once the college and NFL season both kick off, because we'll do what we always have done, previews on Thursdays, and then Tuesdays we go into review. But that said, guys, rate, review, subscribe, help us out. Let us know what you guys want to see more of course. We're almost there, man. We're almost going back to 2 days a week. But yeah, we're going to keep trying to push this thing out. We're going to keep trying to grow here. Check out our YouTube channel, of course. Keep sharing the podcast. So thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you guys next week on Tuesday.